Hello guys, I welcome you back to another lesson. In the last lesson we had fun. We learned how to add images to our HTML page. In this lesson we're going to learn how to create forms on our website. Forms are everywhere around us. When you go to the bank and you want to open an account, you have to fill a form. When you go to the hospital, you have to fill forms there. They're everywhere around us. And there's virtually no website where you don't get to see where they tell you to sign up or to sign in or to register or to log in or subscribe to their newsletter. So we're going to see how we can do that on our HTML page. Traditionally, form refers to printed document that contains spaces for you to fill in information. Now, HTML browser borrows the concept of a form to refer to different elements that allow you to collect information from visitors who come to your site. HTML forms are required to collect different kinds of user input, such as contact details like names, email address, phone numbers. So you can see HTML forms on almost every website. Now, this is what a HTML form looks like. We have the form element here, and then inside the form element we have the label element, we have the input element, and this input element is taking in an attribute of text, type text. So what this does is telling you that the input field is going to take text. Now for password, you can see we have the label element here, and then we have the input, which is taking an attribute value of password. We also have an input here, which is type submit, and the value is submit. So we have two attributes here with two attribute values. So we're going to see how we can use this. To define a form, use the form element, that is the form tag. The input tag allows you to specify various user inputs depending on the type attribute. An input element can be of type text field, password field, checkbox, radio button, and so many more. So let's get into the practical aspect of it and see how this works on our HTML page. Okay, so I'm going to start with the last um, the last project that we did, which was on the desktop, the HTML project. I'm just going to start off from where we left the last time. So I'm going to open it with VS Code, and once I do that, um, I'm going to go live. So I'm waiting for the go live to show up here. Okay, there we go. So we can go live now. So let's look at what we did the last time and see how we can add form to it. So this was what we did in the last lesson. Top 3 artists in Nigeria. This is like a mini blog where we have pictures. Alright. Now on this website, let's see how we can um, add a form to it. So when you want to add form, we use the form element. Okay, so let's see that. So you just type in form and then you press enter. Okay, this this form has an action attribute, and this action attribute is supposed to take in a value, but we will not be using that in this lesson. When we get to JavaScript, then I will show you what that form element is for. It basically sends your information to the back end, but you have to specify a value in that form element. So when you have created a form element, now you can begin to put in your different types of input inside of here. So the first input I'm going to put, you just type in the input, it brings it out for you, and this one comes with a default text as the type. Okay, so here you can put things like name, but when you want to put in something like an age, the type value is going to change to number. Okay, so this is, if I save this and come to my web page, okay, if I scroll down, you can see we have an input here. Let me go back. So something else I want to do here, I'm going to put a heading tag here, and then I'm going to put register here. Okay, and I can save this, come back to our web page. You can see, all right, so but there is no label here. So but before we do label, I'm going to show you another attribute that you can add to this input. So there's and you can see that this input is a self-closing tag, like the line break and the horizontal row. So we can add another attribute here called placeholder. Okay, and in this placeholder we can put a value of enter your username. Okay, enter your username, and if we save it, you will look, when you come here, you can see inside of here we have a placeholder of enter your username. So this is just telling the user that when he's typing, whatever he's typing inside here has to be his username. Okay, and some persons like to use labels, some persons don't like to use labels. You know, it all depends on what the specification for your website is. This label element has a 4 attributes, but we're not going to use that in this lesson. When we get to JavaScript, we're going to look at all of these. So in my label, I can put user name. Okay, when I save this and come to the website, you can see we have username and then we have the input value here. But I want this input value to be under username. So what do I use for that? I'm going to use a line break for that. Remember I taught you how to use the line break. So you just come under here and put BR, enter. So once you do that, come back to your website, automatically your label comes under, your input rather comes under your label. And then just to make things fast, we can just copy this and paste it under again. And then for this one, we can come here and put email. All right, and then here we can say enter your email, and what we want to have in here, instead of type text, we can have email. Okay, that is one of the attributes values for this type. If we come back here, you can see we have the attribute value of text field, we have the attribute value of password, we have for checkbox. We're going to see how we can use some of these on our website. So if we save this, okay, yeah, if we save this and we come to our website, you can see what we have here. Right, so what I want to do here now is under here I'll just put a BR there, and I can put 2 line breaks, so it gives it a good spacing. So if we come here, you can see what we have. We have the username input, we have the email input, and for this email input you have to put the @ symbol when you're writing your email, otherwise it's going to highlight that it is not a valid email. So we have the email input. Let's look at the password input, and we can have the password input here. You can write password, and you can say enter your password. All right, yeah. So here the attribute value is going to be password, and when we save this, you would notice that, okay, we still need to add a line break to this. Let me see, yeah. So just under here you can add a line break. So when we start learning CSS, we won't need to be using these line breaks. We're going to be using margins, paddings, but that's when we get to CSS. So for now, we just have to make use of line breaks to give spacing in our HTML. So yeah, so you notice for the input, the moment you start typing something, you can see it's hidden. It is hidden by default because we specified here that this is going to be an input with a type of password. So whatever the user types in there is automatically going to be hidden. So we can look at another one that is called checkbox. Okay, we can look at another one called checkbox. So here we can just put in what do we want to do? We can say age, right? We can say age, and then we can say okay, we can do sex. We can do sex, and here we can put checkbox. So this one is not going to need, it's not going to have a placeholder. We can put age and then we can put checkbox. And if we save this, when you come here, you're going to see this. You see sex, and then we have this an input field here. But what I'm going to do now is, by the side of this input field, I can put label and put, so you're going to remove this for then I can put male, and then I can have another checkbox, and then here I can put female. Okay, and then whatever, you can add whatever sex you want to add. So you can see, so we have two input fields, but this one has a type of checkbox. So you can check either female or you can check male. Okay, we also have another one that is called radio buttons. So here I can change this input type to radio. Okay, so you can see radio now. If I save this, let me just show what radio looks like. So you can see radio is quite different from this. This one is kind of squared, radio is kind of like round. So they basically do the same thing, they just take user input. We also have so there are various other input field types that you can try. All right, so what do I want to show you now? So let's add a button. I'm going to take this out and let's have a button here. Okay, and this button is going to take an attribute. The button type is going to take an attribute of submit. Okay, so this button has different attribute types. We have for button, we have menu, we have reset, we have submit. So let's try the reset. If we try for the reset and we save this and we come to our website, let's add, so we want to put a line break also here. Let's put two line breaks, br, and here we have it. Okay, yeah, so if we save this, the button should come under the form. Yeah, this is what we want. So you can type in a name here, and you can see the moment I click on this, it just shows me my email because it automatically knows that it's for emails. And if we put in, just put random password, put mail. If I press reset, it's going to reset the form for me. So if I don't want to use the reset, I want to use the submit attribute for type button. Come here and I put in a name, and then I'm going to leave this one empty. Then I can put in a password here, select mail. Once I save, it refreshes the page. So it automatically refreshes the page. That is the default behavior of a form, it automatically refreshes the page. When we get to JavaScript, we'll see how we can change that behavior. Okay, so if I put required, there is another attribute called required, and this attribute doesn't take in any value. You just put required. If I save this and I put in some name here, I leave this one empty, put in something here, put in female. So once I click reset, you see what happens here. It shows you that you have to fill out this field just by putting required there. We forgot to change this guy to submit. But what is most important is what is here in this type attribute. So once you click submit, it tells you that you have to fill out this field. The reason why is because we put a required attribute in our email. So that required attribute is like some kind of form validation. You have to put in a correct email before it will allow you to submit. So assuming we came here and we put Tolani, and then here I have Tola gmail.com without putting the at. Then I have some kind of password here. I click mail. If I press submit, you see what it says. Please include an at in the email address. So you can see it's a form of validation. So now if I click submit, you see it refreshes the page. You can also add required to other input fields. So if you add required to the username input, it's also not going to allow you to submit until you put in a username there. So that's some kind of form validation that we can do in HTML. Let's try something once more. I put in my correct email, but I don't put in password, and I click submit. It says please fill out this field. So it's a kind of form validation that we can do in HTML. But when we get to JavaScript, we'll learn how to do form validation properly. Okay, so this is how you can add forms to your website. All right. So in the next lesson, we're going to learn how we can add tables to our HTML page. So till then, thanks for watching. Please do ensure that you practice this, because if you want to get better at coding, then you have to practice. All right, so thank you guys for watching. See you in the next lesson.